welcome back to our channel. Tiny in size, but with a legacy worth more than you might think, this penny has a story to tell. The 1961 USA 1-cent penny, while seemingly a humble and unassuming coin, carries a fascinating story, one that intertwines with the history of the United States, its culture, its economy, and the artistry that defines American coinage. To truly understand why this particular penny has become so legendary, we have to step back in time, to the early 1960s, and look at the cultural and economic climate of the United States. This wasn't just any random year for the penny. 1961 was a year of significant change, a year that set the stage for some monumental events that would shape the course of the nation. Imagine, if you will, the early 1960s. The United States was on the brink of an exciting era, one defined by rapid advancements in technology, the civil rights movement gaining momentum, and the country in the midst of the Cold War. The cultural landscape was shifting as well, with the rise of rock and roll, the dawn of television, and, of course, the space race. It was a time when coins, though often overlooked, held a subtle but important reflection of the era's spirit. During this time, the 1-cent penny had a design that had been in place for over 50 years. The famous wheat penny, as it was known, had been in circulation since 1909, gracing the pockets of Americans through both World Wars, the Great Depression, and the economic booms of the 1920s and post-World War II. But by the early 1960s, the coin was beginning to show its age, and the U.S. Mint had plans to redesign the penny to reflect a new era. In 1959, the U.S. Mint unveiled a new design for the penny, replacing the wheat ears with the Lincoln Memorial. This new design, which we associate with the modern 1-cent coin, was meant to honor Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. Designed by the renowned sculptor Frank Gasparo, the reverse side of the penny now featured a detailed depiction of the Lincoln Memorial, a fitting tribute to the leader who helped preserve the Union during the Civil War. But in 1961, the penny was still very much a product of the time. The country was on the precipice of change, yet the design was firmly rooted in the past. The 1961 penny, therefore, represents a link between two different periods of American history. On one hand, it features the Lincoln Memorial, symbolizing national unity and strength, while on the other, it carries the historical weight of the Lincoln legacy, deeply tied to the past. As for its minting details, the 1961 penny was produced in 3 different mints: the Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint. The coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint were minted without a mint mark, while those struck at Denver featured a D mint mark, and those struck at San Francisco bore an S mint mark. These variations are critical to understanding the differences in rarity and value for collectors today. The San Francisco mints, in particular, produced fewer pennies compared to the other 2 mints, making these coins especially desirable for numismatists and coin enthusiasts. Despite its production in large numbers, the 1961 penny would go on to become an iconic symbol of a bygone era. While most of these coins are relatively common and found in circulation today, some specific variations of the 1961 penny are prized by collectors for their exceptional quality or rare characteristics. In particular, the 1961 penny struck at the San Francisco Mint stands out as an example of a coin that continues to capture the interest of those in the numismatic world. Now, you might wonder, with all of this historical context in mind, why would a simple 1961 penny command such a remarkable price? To answer that question, we need to dive into the world of coin collecting and the factors that influence a coin's value. Coin collectors, or numismatists, are highly discerning when it comes to determining a coin's value. It's not just about the year of issue, but about the condition of the coin, its rarity, its historical significance, and its overall appeal. In the case of the 1961 penny, there are several factors that have contributed to its status as a highly sought-after collector's item. First and foremost, the condition of the coin is critical. A penny that has been in circulation for decades, subjected to the wear and tear of daily use, is often in poor condition. However, some coins, especially those that were never used and have remained in pristine condition, can fetch significant prices. The 1961 penny is no exception. Coins that have been carefully preserved, free from the usual scratches and discoloration that come with years of handling, are considered to be in mint state or proof condition. These coins are often graded using a scale that ranges from poor to perfect, with the highest grades being extremely rare. Another factor that influences the value of the 1961 penny is its rarity. While millions of pennies were struck in 1961, certain minting errors or variations make certain coins far rarer than others. For example, some 1961 pennies were minted with slight imperfections in the die, creating errors in the coin's design. These errors, such as double dies or off-center strikes, can make the coin even more valuable to collectors. Additionally, coins struck at the San Francisco Mint, due to their lower mintage numbers, are often considered more rare and valuable than those struck in Philadelphia or Denver. But perhaps the most significant factor in the 1961 penny's rise to fame is its appeal to collectors who specialize in Lincoln cents, a category of coins that has been consistently popular among numismatists for decades. The Lincoln Memorial design, with its clean lines and historical significance, is one of the most beloved designs in American coinage. This connection to the Lincoln legacy gives the 1961 penny an added layer of sentimental value. Now, let's get to the part of the story that really makes the 1961 penny stand out, its impressive value in today's market. You may be surprised to learn that the humble 1961 penny can be worth far more than its face value of just 1 cent. In fact, one rare 1961 penny recently sold for an astonishing $158,000. How did this happen? The coin in question was a 1961 penny struck at the San Francisco Mint. It had been carefully preserved and remained in near-perfect condition. In fact, it was graded as a proof 70, the highest grade a coin can receive. This perfect condition, combined with the rarity of the coin and its status as a key piece of American history, made it incredibly valuable to collectors who were eager to add it to their collections. To put things into perspective, this is a coin that originally cost only 1 cent in 1961, but today it is worth an extraordinary amount, $158,000. It's a testament to the world of coin collecting and how the value of a coin can increase dramatically over time, based on factors such as rarity, condition, and historical significance. So, there you have it. The 1961 penny, a coin that many might dismiss as just another piece of pocket change, has become one of the most fascinating and valuable coins in American numismatics. What was once a simple token of everyday transactions has become a collector's dream, and its story is a reflection of how history, rarity, and preservation can turn even the most ordinary of objects into something extraordinary. For those of you out there who happen to have a 1961 penny sitting in a jar or a drawer, it might be worth taking a closer look. You never know, it might just be worth far more than you think. After all, in the world of coin collecting, the value of a coin can go far beyond its face value, and sometimes, the most unassuming coins are the ones that hold the greatest surprises. The 1964 USA 1-cent penny, at first glance, might appear as a simple, everyday coin. It's something most people have seen countless times, tucked away in the corners of pockets, forgotten at the bottom of drawers, or even scattered across countertops. However, this particular penny carries a significant historical weight, filled with stories that speak to its era and its place in American numismatics. To truly appreciate the value and the mystique surrounding the 1964 penny, it's important to first understand the context in which it was created, the journey it took, and why, even today, this seemingly humble coin commands such a remarkable price in the world of coin collecting. The year 1964 was an incredibly transformative time in the United States. The country was in the midst of social change, economic shifts, and global tension. It was a time when the civil rights movement was in full swing, with Martin Luther King Jr. and others fighting for equality and justice. It was also a time of economic prosperity, following the post-World War II boom, which meant more Americans were enjoying increased wages, new consumer goods, and a higher standard of living. The 1964 penny was minted in this period of both optimism and unrest, symbolizing an era of change while still holding on to the old traditions of American coinage. At this point in time, the penny's design had already undergone several transformations. The original design, the iconic wheat penny, had been in circulation for over 50 years. However, in 1959, the U.S. Mint unveiled a new design to replace the wheat ears with the Lincoln Memorial, creating a coin that was not only reflective of the times but also a tribute to one of the most important figures in American history, Abraham Lincoln. The new reverse side featured the Lincoln Memorial, a symbol of national unity and pride, designed by artist Frank Gasparo. This new design of the penny, with Lincoln's image on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, would become a fixture in American coinage for many years to come. The 1964 penny marked the last year the coin was made with 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This composition, which had been in use for decades, would soon change in the years to follow due to rising metal prices. However, the 1964 penny stands as the last of its kind, holding a certain historical significance due to its composition, which has become increasingly rare in modern coinage. After 1964, the U.S. Mint switched to a predominantly copper-plated zinc composition, a decision driven by the rising costs of copper and changes in the global economy. As for its production, the 1964 penny was minted in large numbers. Pennies in 1964 were struck in three major mints: the Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint. The coins struck in Philadelphia bore no mint mark, while those produced in Denver featured a D, and those struck in San Francisco displayed an S. The 1964 pennies minted in Philadelphia were the most abundant, making these coins relatively easy to find. However, as you'll see in the world of coin collecting, it's not always about how many were produced. Sometimes, the coin's value comes down to its quality, rarity, and, of course, the condition in which it's been preserved. One of the things that make the 1964 penny so interesting to collectors is its unique blend of history, design, and composition. The coin is a snapshot of a moment in time, a moment when the United States was teetering between the old world and the new, between the traditions of the past and the promises of the future. Abraham Lincoln's likeness, gracing the front of the penny, was a reminder of the country's foundation, while the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse represented the ideals of national unity and progress. In the world of coin collecting, or numismatics, value is determined by a variety of factors, and the 1964 penny is no different. While it was produced in large numbers, some specific versions of the 1964 penny are much more valuable than others. The quality of the coin plays a critical role. Coins that have been carefully preserved, free from scratches, discoloration, and other imperfections, can command significantly higher prices than those that show signs of heavy wear. In numismatics, coins are graded based on their condition, with a scale that ranges from good to uncirculated, and even proof quality. A penny from 1964 in mint state, meaning it's free from any signs of wear and tear, is much rarer than a coin that has been in circulation for decades. Some collectors even seek out error coins, those that were struck with flaws such as double dies, off-center strikes, or die cracks. These errors make the coin all the more special, and they're often worth a premium to collectors who appreciate their uniqueness, but the real surprise comes when you learn just how much a 1964 penny can be worth. While most of the pennies from this year are relatively common, there are certain varieties that have become highly sought after by collectors. One of the most remarkable examples of this is the 1964 penny that was produced at the San Francisco Mint. These coins, especially those that were struck with special characteristics like die rotation or double die errors, have become the focus of serious numismatic attention. In fact, one particularly rare 1964 penny, struck at the San Francisco Mint and in nearly perfect condition, has recently sold for an incredible $147,000. How does a simple penny from 1964 command such an extraordinary price? It all comes down to rarity and condition. This particular penny, which was graded as a proof 70, the highest possible grade for a coin, was considered a near-perfect specimen. Only a small number of pennies from 1964 have survived in this pristine condition. Moreover, the coin's status as a rare minting error or variation has further elevated its desirability among collectors. When a coin is both rare and in perfect condition, it becomes a highly sought-after piece that can fetch a significant sum at the right time. The 1964 penny's price reflects the overall interest in coins from that era, as well as the specific appeal of well-preserved examples of the Lincoln Memorial design. Even though many of these coins were produced in large quantities, the combination of historical significance, rarity, and quality is what drives their value in today's market. And while most 1964 pennies may only be worth a few cents, there are those special ones that stand out, coins that can go for hundreds of thousands of dollars. The incredible value of this 1964 penny speaks to the importance of preserving coins in good condition, as well as the growing interest in numismatics as a hobby and investment. It's a reminder that even the most ordinary objects, like a penny, can have an extraordinary story to tell. For coin collectors, these small pieces of metal represent more than just money. They represent history, craftsmanship, and the potential for great value if you're fortunate enough to find the right piece. So, the next time you come across a 1964 penny, take a moment to appreciate its historical context. What might seem like a small, inconsequential coin could be much more valuable than it appears. While the 1964 penny is a symbol of the era in which it was made, it also represents how a seemingly ordinary object can gain tremendous significance over time. And for those fortunate enough to own one of these rare and pristine examples, it might just be worth more than a lifetime of pennies put together, $147,000 to be exact. The 1968 USA 1-cent penny may seem like just another coin, quietly sitting in jars or tucked away in pockets, but there's more to this particular penny than meets the eye. For collectors, numismatists, and enthusiasts alike, the 1968 penny holds an important place in American history, reflecting the social, economic, and political climate of the time. From its design to its minting details, this penny stands as a snapshot of an era filled with tension, transformation, and upheaval. By the end of this video, you'll understand not only why this coin is so historically significant, but also how it can be worth a jaw-dropping $140,000 today. To begin, let's take a step back in time. The year 1968 was marked by intense social and political change across the United States. The nation was in the midst of a tumultuous decade. Civil rights movements were challenging decades of inequality, and the Vietnam War was causing protests and debates that shaped the nation's political landscape. Meanwhile, the country was moving through an era of cultural and technological advancements, with the space race nearing its peak as NASA prepared for the Apollo 11 moon landing in 1969. The Cultural Revolution was in full swing, with music, fashion, and art challenging traditional norms. Amid all these changes, the U.S. Mint was hard at work producing coins that would reflect the era's shifting values. By the time 1968 rolled around, the design of the penny had undergone several transformations. The original design, which featured the iconic wheat ears, had been in circulation since 1909. However, in 1959, the Mint unveiled a new design, a depiction of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse side of the penny. The change was symbolic, shifting from the agricultural past represented by the wheat stalks to the image of Lincoln's memorial, a monument to national unity and freedom, which reflected the changing landscape of the nation. The 1968 penny was part of this new era of coinage, where the face of the country's most iconic president, Abraham Lincoln, graced the obverse side of the coin, while the reverse displayed the Lincoln Memorial. This design, still in use today, had already been introduced almost a decade earlier, but by 1968, it had become a staple of American currency. The penny of 1968 was a reflection of both continuity and change, continuity in the image of Lincoln, who symbolized unity, and change in the evolving nation that now bore his likeness. It's also worth noting that the 1968 penny was minted at a pivotal moment in the coin's material history. Up until 1962, the 1-cent penny was made primarily of copper. However, by the mid-1960s, the rising cost of copper and a desire to conserve this precious metal led the U.S. Mint to switch to a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This change was a precursor to the more drastic alteration in 1982, when the Mint switched to a predominantly zinc composition with a copper coating due to even further increases in the cost of copper. However, the 1968 penny remains a key part of the penny's history, representing a period when copper was still the dominant metal, even if it was mixed with other materials. In terms of minting details, the 1968 penny was produced in large quantities at 3 mints across the country: the Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint. Coins minted in Philadelphia did not have a mint mark, while those produced in Denver carried a D mint mark, and coins from San Francisco were identified by an S. As with many coins from this era, the mint marks are an important factor in understanding the rarity and value of specific pennies. However, the real key to understanding why the 1968 penny is so valuable today lies in its condition, its rarity, and its status among collectors. Most of the pennies minted in 1968 were circulated widely and show the usual wear and tear of being handled by countless people. But, as with all numismatics, it's the coins that have been preserved in exceptional condition that command the highest value. A coin that has remained in mint condition, free from any scratches, discoloration, or other signs of wear, is considered to be in uncirculated or even proof condition. These coins, often preserved in protective holders, are incredibly rare, especially for coins like the penny, which were frequently used in everyday transactions. One of the most significant factors for the value of the 1968 penny is the presence of specific errors or varieties in its minting process. Errors such as double dies, off-center strikes, or misaligned images can make a coin much more valuable to collectors who specialize in such anomalies. These error coins often hold a special allure for numismatists because of their uniqueness. The 1968 penny, being produced in large quantities, still has a relatively small percentage of coins that possess such errors, making those particular coins highly coveted. Among the most intriguing of the 1968 pennies are those minted in San Francisco. The San Francisco Mint produced fewer pennies compared to the Denver and Philadelphia mints, making these coins a bit rarer. But rarity alone doesn't always equate to value. Condition plays an even more important role. A penny from 1968 that has been well preserved, especially one from San Francisco, is considered even more valuable than other examples from the same year. Now, let's turn our attention to the most remarkable aspect of this story: the value of the 1968 penny today. You may be wondering, how is it possible that a coin that was once worth just 1 cent has now soared to such astronomical values? The answer lies in the rarity and condition of specific examples of the 1968 penny. In recent years, some exceptionally well-preserved 1968 pennies have been sold for impressive sums. While most pennies from this era are still worth only their face value, certain examples, those that are in nearly perfect condition or have rare minting errors, can fetch much higher prices. In fact, one rare 1968 penny, a nearly flawless specimen, recently sold for an astounding $140,000. How did this happen? The coin in question was graded as a proof 70, which is the highest grade a coin can receive. A proof coin is one that was specially struck to a higher standard, typically intended for collectors. These coins are often much rarer than their circulation counterparts, as they were produced in limited numbers. The 1968 penny in question was not only in perfect condition but also bore unique characteristics that made it stand out from the rest. The combination of perfect preservation, rarity, and historical significance made this particular penny worth a small fortune. It's important to note that not every 1968 penny will be worth such a large sum. In fact, most of them are still valued at just 1 cent. But for the dedicated collector or numismatist, the pursuit of these rare coins, in perfect condition or with unique errors, can be a rewarding and profitable hobby. The value of coins like the 1968 penny is driven by the same forces that affect other collectibles: supply, demand, and the desire to own a piece of history. So, what makes a 1968 penny worth $140,000? It's a combination of factors: rarity, condition, minting errors, and, of course, the passion of the numismatics community. Coins that once passed through the hands of millions of people and were forgotten at the bottom of drawers are now being carefully examined, graded, and sold for eye-watering prices. The story of the 1968 penny is a perfect example of how even the most ordinary objects can become extraordinary treasures with the right mix of factors. For those who are interested in coin collecting or simply curious about the world of numismatics, the 1968 penny offers a fascinating glimpse into how value is determined in this hobby. It's a reminder that coins are not just currency, they are pieces of history, art, and culture that can continue to hold value long after they've left circulation. If you're lucky enough to come across a 1968 penny in your collection, take a closer look. You never know, your penny might just be worth a lot more than you think. It could be a valuable treasure, waiting to be discovered and appreciated for its historical significance and the potential it holds in the world of coin collecting. And who knows, you might just have a rare coin worth $140,000 sitting quietly in your pocket right now. The 1972 USA 1-cent penny, like many coins that circulate on a daily basis, may appear to be just another piece of change, often overlooked or disregarded by the average person. However, there's more to this seemingly ordinary coin than meets the eye. For those who understand the world of numismatics, the study and collection of coins, this penny is a fascinating symbol of an era that encapsulates not only the technical evolution of American currency but also the changing tides of American society. By the end of this video, you'll learn about the rich history of the 1972 penny, its significance, and why one particular example of this coin has recently sold for an eye-popping $132,000. The year 1972 was marked by significant political and cultural events. The Vietnam War was still raging, although the United States had begun its process of withdrawing troops. The Watergate scandal was unfolding, setting the stage for political upheaval in the years to come. The United States was in the midst of a time of dramatic social change, from the rise of the environmental movement to the continued fight for civil rights. But amidst all this turmoil, the nation's coinage remained a steady reflection of its past, with coins continuing to be minted to reflect the country's ideals. The 1972 penny came at a time when the United States was still using the Lincoln Memorial design on the reverse side of the coin. Since 1959, the penny had carried the image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, with the Lincoln Memorial, a symbol of national unity and history, on the reverse. This design, created by artist Frank Gasparo, would continue to adorn the penny for many decades, only being replaced in 2009 with the introduction of the Union Shield design to mark the bicentennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. But in 1972, the penny still carried the familiar design that most of us have come to recognize as the face of the 1-cent piece. The 1972 penny was also important because it was part of a larger transition in U.S. coinage materials. The penny, which had been composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc since the 19th century, was beginning to see some changes in its composition due to rising metal prices. The year 1972 marked the last year in which the composition of the penny was made entirely from copper. Beginning in 1982, the mint would reduce the copper content, replacing most of it with zinc, a cheaper alternative. As a result, the 1972 penny is one of the last to be made of nearly pure copper, making it a significant piece for collectors, especially when it is found in top condition. While the coin's composition remained relatively unchanged, it's important to note that the 1972 penny was not entirely free from minor alterations in its design. One of the most intriguing aspects of this particular coin is its minting process and the errors that occurred during production. The U.S. Mint has a long history of producing coins that contain minting errors, anomalies that occur during the coin's creation that make them unique and valuable in the eyes of collectors. In 1972, several types of errors appeared in the penny's minting process, and these error coins have become some of the most sought-after items in the numismatic world. One of the most famous of these errors is the double die variety. A double die error occurs when a coin is struck more than once by the same die, resulting in a coin with doubled images or inscriptions. In the case of the 1972 penny, the double die error was particularly noticeable on the obverse, with Lincoln's image appearing to have an extra layer of detail around his features. These double die coins, especially those that show significant doubling, have become highly desirable among collectors, as they are rare and demonstrate the imperfections that make each coin unique. The 1972 double die penny has been the subject of intense interest, with collectors hunting for examples in the best possible condition. The minting of the 1972 penny itself occurred at three major U.S. mint facilities: the Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint. Coins from Philadelphia bore no mint mark, while those from Denver featured a D, and those from San Francisco carried an S. Like many other pennies, the vast majority of 1972 pennies were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, with a smaller number produced in Denver and San Francisco. However, certain versions of the 1972 penny, particularly those produced in San Francisco, have garnered more attention from collectors due to their lower mintage numbers. As with any collectible coin, the value of the 1972 penny is determined by several factors: rarity, condition, and, importantly, the presence of minting errors. The vast majority of 1972 pennies are not particularly valuable, but the errors and varieties that were produced during this time period make the coin an interesting prospect for numismatists. The double die pennies, in particular, have seen significant increases in value over the years, with specimens in exceptional condition being sold for considerable sums at auctions. But what really sets the 1972 penny apart in the world of coin collecting is how a small number of them, with certain key characteristics, have fetched unbelievable prices at auctions. As with any collectible item, the market for rare coins can fluctuate, but the rarity of a 1972 penny in pristine condition, or with a notable error, can cause its value to skyrocket. One such coin, an almost perfectly preserved 1972 double-die penny, recently fetched a staggering $132,000. How is it that a coin, which once only represented a single cent, has become worth so much? It all comes down to the rarity and quality of the coin. This particular 1972 penny was graded at a near-perfect level, making it one of the best examples of this type of error coin in existence. The coin had been carefully preserved for decades, free from the common wear and tear that most pennies suffer from when circulating in everyday use. Additionally, the double-die error, with its enhanced details and striking characteristics, added to the coin's desirability. Coins that exhibit these types of errors are often in much lower supply, especially when they are in high-grade condition. Collectors are constantly on the lookout for coins that show these anomalies, and the 1972 double-die penny has become one of the most coveted items in the coin collecting world. The $132,000 price tag that this penny received is a testament to how far the world of numismatics can take a simple object. While most of us think of pennies as insignificant, something we toss aside without much thought, coins like the 1972 penny demonstrate that even the smallest of objects can have immense historical, cultural, and financial value when examined through the lens of a passionate collector. The story of the 1972 penny is not just about the metal it's made of or the design it carries. It's about the journey it takes from being part of everyday life to becoming a sought-after treasure that can change hands for life-changing sums of money. For collectors and enthusiasts, the 1972 penny has become much more than a small, everyday coin. It's a symbol of how rarity, condition, and the presence of minting errors can dramatically affect the value of an object. The allure of these error coins is undeniable. Each one carries a story of how it was made, how it survived, and how it became a highly valuable artifact in the world of numismatics. If you happen to stumble upon a 1972 penny in your spare change or collection, take a moment to examine it closely. While most of these coins are worth just 1 cent, there's always the chance that you might come across one of the rare, error-struck pieces that could be worth far more. And remember, a 1972 penny, under the right circumstances, could just be worth $132,000, making it not just a piece of history, but a valuable treasure that may be hiding right under your nose.